everyone, welcome to WION Live Broadcast with me, Susan Tehrani. First, let's take a look at the latest headlines this hour from New York City. Ukraine's hydroelectricity operator says a power station linked to the Russia-occupied Kakhovka Dam is completely destroyed after an attack which Kyiv blames on Moscow. Ukraine calls for an urgent meeting of the United Nations Security Council to discuss what it called a Russia terrorist attack on the dam in southern Ukraine. The United States, Japan, and the Philippines Coast Guard ships staged law enforcement drills in waters near the disputed South China Sea. Prince Harry takes a jibe against the British media and government, says the country's reputation has hit rock bottom because of the two. U.S. securities regulators sues cryptocurrency platform Coinbase, alleging that the company was operating as an unregistered exchange and broker, action a day after SEC sued Binance. It has been 468 days since the war in Ukraine broke out. Moscow has been trying its best to take control over Kyiv. But in a sudden flurry of military activity, Ukrainian forces have ramped up their artillery strikes and ground assaults at several points along the front line. Once again, raising the burning question, has Ukraine finally started its counteroffensive against Russia? Our next report tells you more.
For months, a guessing game has played out in military circles worldwide. Where and when would Ukraine conduct its counteroffensive? Well, for weeks, the Ukrainian forces have ramped up their artillery strikes and ground assaults at several points along the front line, stretching from south to the northeast. The goal? To thwart the Russian offensive and even reclaim lost territories. During the night hours, Ukraine has allegedly used drones to destroy enemy tanks. But in the latest, a huge dam in the Russian-controlled area of southern Ukraine has been destroyed. The Soviet-era Kakhovka Dam in the occupied Kherson region unleashed a flood of water. Thousands of people are at risk, with fears that any flooding could be catastrophic. Ukrainian authorities say 16,000 people are in the flooding critical zone and evacuation efforts are ongoing. The massive breach in the dam, with water surging through it, is just one of the latest incidents that have happened since the war broke out. But the question which remains unanswered: who was behind the dam attack? A blame game has started between the two sides. Ukrainians and NATO are blaming Russia for it, while Moscow says Kyiv is behind the attack. Everything remains hidden in the fog of the war. So will this incident make Ukraine launch its much-vaunted counter-offensive? There are signs on the battlefield from Bakhmut to the wider Donetsk region. However, Kyiv remains tight-lipped, and quite literally so. evident in this video released by Ukrainian Defense Minister. Well, a closer analysis of the theatre of conflict shows that Ukrainian forces have been using the Western weapons to good use. They have hit areas which were earlier beyond its range, like Lugansk, where it reportedly used the British Storm Shadow missiles, but for now, officially Kyiv has maintained a veil of secrecy over its counteroffensive, which has been months in planning. And Ukrainian commanders are seemingly focused instead on a spring-summer military campaign. Clearly a decisive military offensive which would look spectacular and would give Kyiv an upper hand is yet to come. But doing so is increasingly difficult, as the Russians have fortified their defenses to cling on to the territories they snatched in the first weeks of its special military operation in February 2022. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
For more on this, we are being joined by Courtney from Washington, D.C. He's an adjunct senior fellow at RAND Global Think Tank. Thank you so much for joining us on WION, and welcome back to the program. William, how do you see Ukraine's response in wake of the attack on the Nova Kakhovka Dam?
It appears that the Russians, which control the dam, are responsible, either as a purposeful explosion to breach the dam in two places, or as a result of mismanagement of the dam. The Russians have been in charge of the dam. The water level has been high behind the dam, and there have been some signs seen in satellite photographs before the breach that there may be some structural problems in the dam, which the Russians have not managed well. So it's unclear which might be the Russian purpose. Because the canal, which supplies vital water to Crimea, is jeopardized now because it takes water from the large reservoir behind the dam, whether Crimea may end up losing some or all of the water that it would normally expect to receive. So if the Russians had done this on purpose, they either didn't pay attention to the implications for Crimea or they didn't care. If this were a structural mismanagement issue, though, then this breach could have occurred and the Russians just simply didn't manage it well. You will recall that the Russians are managing the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as well, and there have been concerns about mismanagement there. The Ukrainians have no reason to have blown up the dam.
As for now, Moscow is silent, as has been this trend during the Ukraine-Russia war, where the parties involved often stay silent. But for those of us that don't know the significance of this dam, why was this dam attacked in the first place, in your opinion?
The Russians took control of the dam after they launched their full-scale invasion in February 2022, over a year ago, and have maintained control since then. There is no understanding really of what Russia's motives have been in managing the dam. It should have managed it more carefully than it has, and it may have decided to blow up the dam in order to cause a larger widening of the water downstream from the dam, which the Russians might have perceived would impede a Ukrainian cross-river assault as part of a Ukrainian counteroffensive. But that factor doesn't seem so important in comparison with the others.
Courtney from Washington, D.C., thank you so much for joining us on WION, and we look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
You're welcome.
Iran has unveiled its first indigenous hypersonic ballistic missile. The announcement is likely to heighten Western concerns about Tehran's strategic capabilities. Iranian state media published pictures of the missile named Fatah. President Ibrahim Raisi was present at the ceremony, along with commanders of Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards Corps. Iran says the precision-guided Fatah hypersonic missile has a range of 1,400 kilometers, and it's capable of penetrating all defense shields. Iran claims Fatah's top speed is matched to 14, that is around 15,000 kilometers per hour.
The knowledge of missile making, science and defense, as well as missile and military industries, have been indigenous in our country. It is not an imported technology, so threats cannot remove this advanced knowledge and industry.
Hypersonic missiles are the ones that fly at least 5 times faster than the speed of sound on a complex trajectory. Both of these capabilities make these missiles difficult to intercept. Despite European and U.S. opposition, the Islamic Republic has said that it will further develop its defense missile program. Western military analysts, meanwhile, feel Iran exaggerates its missile capabilities. Concerns about Iran's ballistic missiles prompted U.S. President Donald Trump to ditch Tehran's 2015 nuclear pact with 6 major powers. Former President Trump reimposed U.S. sanctions on Iran after exiting the nuclear deal, leading Tehran to resume openly previously banned nuclear work. Indirect talks between Tehran and U.S. President Joe Biden's administration to salvage the nuclear deal have stalled since last September. And now a story which might make you sit up and take notice. It may sound like a conspiracy theory or a plot for a sci-fi movie. A U.S. intelligence officer who has turned whistleblower reveals that the American government has UFOs for real. And Washington, along with other nations, have been using these alien technologies to produce weapons. More in our next report.
Are we alone in the universe? Is there life on any other planet? Have extraterrestrial beings already visited our planet? Well, these UFO sightings give credence to such theories. Now, there is a twist in the tale. A former US intelligence officer has said that world powers, including the US, have been using alien technology to create weapons. David Charles Grush, who identifies himself as a whistleblower, claims that nations are engaged in top-secret operations that attempt to reverse engineer pieces from UFOs to create weapons. Though claims of extraterrestrial encounters have long been dismissed, the repeated sightings over the past 7 decades keep them a hot topic for debate and discussion. But the latest claims comes days after NASA held a first-of-its-kind hearing on such UFOs, which it calls Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAP. With so many controversy theories doing the rounds, the US government formed a 16-member body with NASA. Pentagon says the US military has documented more than 800 cases of UFOs over the past 2 decades.
I also emphasized to Congress that only a very small percentage of UAP reports display signatures that could reasonably be described as anomalous. The majority of unidentified objects reported to AARO and in our holdings demonstrate mundane characteristics of readily explainable sources. While a large number of cases in AARO's holdings remain technically unresolved, this is primarily due to a lack of data associated with those cases.
The former US intelligence officer claims to have provided his officials with evidence, and he further asserts that these were withheld from Congress. The disclosures by Grush and other witnesses have ignited a growing desire within the government to uncover the truth about these covert programs and their national security implications. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is known for making bold tweets. In his latest, he appears to threaten his Florida counterpart, Ron DeSantis, of kidnapping charges. The confrontation comes in regard to DeSantis' migrant sending in the state of California. In the past 4 days, 2 rounds of migrants have reportedly been sent to Sacramento, California. The California state capitol has seen another plane load of migrants arrive and be left outside a church abandoned to fend for themselves. 16 South Americans were found in possession of documentation purporting to be from the state of Florida. Both groups were flown by the same contractor and paid for by DeSantis using taxpayer money. DeSantis is a rising Republican and potential presidential candidate for 2024. He has pursued a policy of flying migrants to democratically controlled states, notably because these are states that are called sanctuary states. This is a move to protest President Joe Biden's immigration policies as well. Republicans have welcomed the policy idea with open arms. The episode parallels a similar incident was orchestrated by DeSantis last year, where nearly 50 migrants were flown and abandoned in Martha's Vineyard, a luxury resort island in Massachusetts, which former President Barack Obama and other Democrat politicians have homes at. The money for which also came out from the pockets of taxpayers during the Martha Vineyards incident. Newsom has tweeted threatening kidnapping charges against the Republican as he reiterates that the migrants were put on board in fraud. The tweet also carried a section of California's penal code, according to which anybody who takes by force or fraud a person found within the state is guilty of kidnapping. Newsom has been known to tweet sharp political messages with no fully formed policy to back them. As the two governors jockey for national attention, the question is whether Newsom will follow through with legal action over the interstate transportation of migrants or risk being accused of using the incident to stage his own version of political theater. We'll have to wait and see.
Especially the residential area.
That fire is stubborn. It really jumped. It started to jump over.
Apple has captured everyone's attention at its annual developers conference in California. The tech giant has unveiled a range of exciting new products and upgrades, but our showstopper is the highly anticipated augmented reality headset called Vision Pro. Mind you, it is the company's first major new product since the Apple Watch in 2014. This cool gadget is going head-to-head with other AR headsets like Meta's Quest and Sony's PlayStation VR. It will cost $3,499, almost $3,500, 3 times higher than the Meta's priciest device, and will be available early next year. The Vision Pro looks like a pair of ski goggles. It combines virtual reality and augmented reality so you can see digital things in the real world around you. You can also project apps onto your surroundings and control them just by moving your eyes, waving your hands, or even talking. With 12 cameras and a digital crown similar to the Apple Watch, the Vision Pro is powered by Apple's M2 chip. This will swiftly process information from its sensors. The Vision Pro will work with apps like Disney Plus and Microsoft Office Suite. But that's not all from the event. Apple has also introduced its most powerful processor yet, called the M2 Ultra. The chip is essentially 2 of Apple's largest M2 chip bonded together, a similar approach Apple took to boost the performance of its M1 chips. Apple also refreshed its MacBook Air lineup, introducing a larger 15-inch variant powered by the M2 chip and an 18-hour battery life. The conference was not only about hardware. Apple also unveiled updates to its operating systems across its product range. iOS 17, the latest version for iPhones, introduced smart display-like features, allowing the device to function as a digital clock or assistant. Last but not least, Apple Watch also received significant attention with the introduction of new widgets. Watch OS 10 will now provide weather information, calendar appointments, and more on your wrist. Now let's take a look at one of the most viral moments from Taylor Swift's Eras Tour.
fuck, I'm so sorry. Totally fine, it's just so stupid. Oh, delicious. Oh, God. Is there any chance that none of you saw that? It's fine. I've swallowed it. Okay.
All right, let's wrap up as we take you to the world of sports, where Cristiano Ronaldo is there. Karim Benzema and Lionel Messi are strongly expected to move there in the next few months as well. Now, Saudi Arabia has paved the way for the country to attract the biggest names in world football. The Public Investment Fund has taken over leading 4 clubs in the country, including Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr. 5-time World Player of the Year, Cristiano Ronaldo joined Al Nassr earlier this year, and he has since called on the world's top players to join him in the Gulf state. His longtime rival, Lionel Messi, is a free agent and has been linked with a move to Al Hilal, who have offered the Argentina World Cup winner a $400 million a year deal. Al Ittihad edged out Ronaldo and Al Nassr to the Saudi Pro League title, and the club have also been acquired by the PIF, the country's sovereign wealth fund, which owns EPL side Newcastle United and also bankrolls Live Golf. Al Ittihad are reportedly closing in on a deal to sign a reigning Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema, who played his last match for Real Madrid on Sunday. If the proposed deals mentioned go through, the 13 of the last 14 Ballon d'Or winners will be playing for PIF clubs in Saudi Arabia. No entity or club in the world can rival the money the PIF can offer these players, and the Saudi Pro League could soon shake up world football. That's all from us here in New York City. Thank you so much for staying with us and watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Meanwhile, don't go away. A lot more news and headlines coming up next, only on WION World is One.